Hey everyone, Corrie here, coming in to pull a weekend or to do a weekend reading for everyone. And so I thought that I would just go back to my deck of the Everyday Goddess Oracle cards. And so I'm going to use my cards. And so if you want to purchase a deck of these for yourself, you can go to my website, go to corriethorne.cameron.com, or you can also purchase your daily devotion cards. And these are the Want to Know a Secret to a Life of More Than Existing. And these cards are simply messages that are for you every day. And these are also available on the website. And they're only on the website. Or if you see me in person, you can also purchase them as well. So I want to start with, this is April the 19th. And I want to start with where, I want to start with our mind, to start with where we can be in our mind. So I'm doing mind, body, soul, mind, body, spirit. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing mind, body, spirit, and then I'm doing beyond. So I'm going to pull 4 cards, and these 4 cards are going to represent that how our ego gets involved, how our greatest fear stands in our way, or where we are within our mind. And it can be also something that is just like in our dreams, in our sense of knowing that we have happening or wanting to happen in our lives. So let's just see what the cards give for us today. I love this card. So I pulled out the Universal Light of Love, Lumerian. So this card actually was the first card created. And I thought, my mind thought, she would be the first card in the deck. And I'm like, got it. This is where it all begins. It all begins with just stripping it all back. And if we strip it all back and we surrender it all over and we let all that go, let all that shit go, we're just going to relax into ourselves. And I'm like, no, that's the mind story. And that's where kind of our archetypal energy is created. It's through that collective consciousness, and the archetypes are collective conscious. And so this is where the rebel comes in. It is that sense of defiance, but it's also that sense of innocence, or the sense of being the good girl, or it's about me. I deserve this. I want this. What about me? What about me story, right? It's like, I'm so done. Where it began was back to the innocence of the newborn child. So card 0 in the deck is a mother holding the newborn child. Card 1 is innocence. It is the little girl with her little wings. It's purity. This is light. This is the stage of where we recognize conditioned love versus unconditional love. This is that beginning of the journey of being able to remember we are no longer the versions of ourselves in the past. We are not the little child. We are not the little girl. This is a card that comes with a lot of responsibility, where we let go of feeling still responsible for the past, but we are responsible for the woman we are today, or the man, whoever's listening. But for the woman, we are responsible for her. And everything that we are allowing, everything we keep permitting, everything we keep giving our mind permission to create those narratives and those stories of hurt, pain, judgment, is all coming from our mind. We are going back in those memories. And so free the mind, free the child, right? And this is about freeing this is where it's free to be the woman you are today. Free to be this person, and to know that we are held in love. We don't need to use the what about me. It's not a poor woe me story. It's a I remember me story. I remember who I am. I see who I am. I see what I have accomplished. I even see what I have done that made some stupid mistakes. I see it. I know it. It is there. But this is where we find our way back through seeing, living, and experiencing through the eyes of love. And through the eyes of love, we remember the sacred. And that there's something so powerful and so sacred within us, but the mind tells us that we have to be busy at something. We have to be busy healing. We have to be busy finding something else to fix. We have to be busy chasing peace. We have to be busy chasing happiness. No, we don't have to be busy chasing. We don't have to be busy trying to create that. We have to allow. And this is the space of where we move into the part of the mind that starts to remember who we are. That sense of recollection of that I don't have to chase these things. I don't have to keep trying to be something more. I'm already enough. And so this being the universal light of love, Lumerian, is when the Lumerian chief appeared to me in one of my channelings as I'm sitting in the bathtub all curled up in a little ball crying. And it was just like, when you will never see yourself as enough because you are comparing. You are looking at and looking through who you once were or who you could never be and who others thought you should be. And trying to create the character to live in the stories of another. And one of those is the fat story. It is the story of our body image. It's the story of no matter how thin we are, we'll find something else wrong. As we age, we find something else that we have to fix. All of those things tie back to seeing ourselves through the lens of who we once were and what we once were. And most of that is all coming from the words and the thoughts of others who they told you were, who they told you should be, who they told you what you should look like. This is what freedom looks like. And this is where the beginning of the journey of where unconditioned love begins to enter. And when we can really truly exist from a place of unconditioned love is where we begin to remember, where we begin to really truly know the value of what it means to take that responsibility, to be accountable. I'm not responsible for anyone else's stories, words. I'm not responsible for anything else. I don't have to chase anything, but I have everything to fall into. I have everything in this moment, everything in here of where I can fall into me, appreciate me, be who I need to be. And she's coming in the beautiful crone card. So she didn't come as the first card. She actually came as the second last card. So she didn't come in first, and she's not always a number one. It is that she came in the second last place. And does it matter? She came in at the right time. She came in at the perfect time, and she fell into place to where she belonged. It's not a race. And that's what our mind kind of gets us tangled up in. And that sense of, I got it all figured out. I know exactly what I need to do. And I'm going to storm over here and I'm going to tell people this and I'm going to stand up for myself and I'm going to tell people that they can no longer have this of me and that of me. And I'm like, really? How about we stop for a moment? How about we take a pause? And not saying we don't find our voice and stand up for ourselves, but when we can do things in our lives from a emotional, mature place, from living without the chaos and the drama in our mind, without the drama queen, without all of that energy that kind of gets us creating something bigger than what it needs to be, chasing something in a belief story, is that we can operate from a calm place. And in somatic, this is about regulating the nervous system, regulating the self, and being in this present moment. And where I am in this present moment is also where the guides and the angels exist. And each and every card is, yes, they're called the everyday goddess, and blend it within, because always by us is our guardians, is our angels. We are always held in love. And so our mind keeps us so busy that we forget that we have a lot of support and a lot of love. Card number 2. That was a long card. Card number 2 is the body. Let's see what the body has for us. What is the body telling us? Remember, your body is more than your physical body. We extend out. We are energy. So let's just see. We are more than we think we are. So here is our body card. And in this is the eye of the beholder. This is Queenie. And Queenie is card number 32. And she's also in the crone. Now, who's the queen? Mirror, mirror on the wall, right? Like that story. If you keep looking into the reflection of someone else, hoping to see you, you'll always be a knockoff of yourself. You'll always see something not just wrong with you, but you will begin to see something wrong with somebody else. They will become that enemy. So the mind is the first enemy. The second enemy is the one who you believe is the problem to why you can't get ahead, or why somebody else has something that you don't have. It's not your life. You can't step into the life of another and find your life. Divine destiny, divine purpose requires us to step into us, to be that version of ourselves. And so that when we get to that door in life, when we get to the right opportunities, the right places, the key is our authenticity is the only thing that can open those doors. You coming to your own doors of opportunities and moments. If you're somebody else, you can't be recognized. Your authenticity is what is needed. It is what is required. It is what brings you to vibrate, to be in vibration to that which is. Envy, jealousy, we all have an inner enemy. We all have an inner critic. It all exists, for sure. But we all have a heart, and we have a higher heart story. And so at the heart of the matter, what is the deeper truth that keeps us existing in fight or flight? What is that keeps us stepping into what we don't like to see or don't like to face as a jealousy or an envy or a hurt story or a I'm not enough story? And what characters does that create? Who is that creating? Through the eyes of my so-called enemy, I see me. And I wrote that in the More Than Existing book. Through the eyes of the so-called enemy, I could see me. And that's where I began to really turn that story around of woe me, poor me. My parents weren't the people I wanted them to be or needed to be. This one is why have I've done all this work and yet I can't be seen or I can't be recognized. Even though I was walking forward with a faith and a knowing, this is the voice that creeps up on you. This is not the voice that is running your whole life, but it is the nagging little voice that creeps up. It is that voice that never stops. It is the one that becomes the one that says, everyone else is against you, right? It is the one that just keeps saying to you that it's pretending to be your friend and that it has your best interest, but it doesn't have your highest interest. It has the desire to get you back to a comfortable place, get you back to anger, frustration, get you back to not being your true self. The body is actually trying to tell you a truth. That anxiousness in the body, the exhaustion in the body is often coming from not listening. The most powerful messages and where the divine speaks is not in the chatter, it's in the silence. So when you can silence all of the others, you learn the power of the being regulated. You learn the power of moving beyond the response that we always have that comes from our fear, the fear response, the trauma response. What does my highest self ask of me? What do I need in this moment the most? And most times it's not to chase something else. And most times it's not another story. It is the power to be able to neutralize the stories. So if I could bring that story back into that narrative in the book of Through My So-Called Enemy, I began to see me, was in that story, I began to see how that broken little girl story had such power on how I was showing up. And this is why the cards are from shadow to truth, from attitude to inspiration. Because we have this attitude of if they would just do what I want them to do. So many times we see the women in our lives, we see the people in our lives, that everyone becomes without without knowing it on a conscious level, everyone becomes the person who abandoned you. Everyone becomes the person who betrayed you. Everyone. So there's a lack of trust. And then you nitpick, and we find those little tiny reasons. And when we get that one little thing that gives us permission to then say that our story was right, that is living from the egoic self. And when we go through the death of the ego, that we begin that journey. And so we all have a good, bad, and the ugly. And we all have a divine. And so when we learn the power of the divine and how that divine expression can lead us to no longer look in the reflection. So my truth of existing beyond a reflection was that journey of turning the mirror around and only looking into that self. And the self that is here right now, look long enough until one tear falls. And when one tear falls, now you can see yourself to the soul. Now you can start to see your deepest truths. And what is that deepest truth? And what was that deepest truth? And what is that deepest truth telling me? And so the eye of the beholder is to really, truly begin to see and embody the divineness, the preciousness of this vessel. And this vessel has a purpose. This mind has a purpose. And it's not here for us to destroy it because it is not enough. It's for us to embody it because it's the way we arrived. And we arrived with this. And all the rest that we do, the collateral damage that we do, the vices that really water down our virtues, is the things that gives us the permission to fall into what we call our isms, those patterns that we have, those addictions that we have, and all of those because we're searching for a solution. And sometimes that solution you're searching for is you keep creating the problem within so that you can find the solution. But the solution is not the things that harm us. It is not the thoughts that hurt us. It is the solutions, is the things that free us. It's the things that remind us. It's the things that we search for that is going to require us to have to put the effort into it. And the effort starts with allowing space for unconditional love. And I don't know who needs this message today. I don't know where this message is coming from, but she's speaking today. These girls are speaking. Right? Some kick ass. They may look simple. But there is depth. And every bit of the creation of this and the books is through stories. I don't know always what's best for people. All I know is that I can share experiences. And that's how the guides work. They share with us opportunities for us to listen to the story and feel how it's making us feel, what we're feeling. If it's irritating, if you're saying, I wish she'd just shut up. I wish she'd stop talking. Why is she getting on my nerves? It's not she's getting on your nerves. It is rubbing something. It is connecting to something. And it's so easy to reflect it outward. But when we start to turn it inward, we ask ourselves the right questions and we be able to turn that life around. So now we're going into card number 42. So we had card number 43, and this is the Universal Light of Lumerian. Then we had Queenie, which is card number 32. So we have all crone cards today. I'm like, ooh, we have all crone cards. When we got all crone cards, it means we're getting schooled. And so they are schooling us because I just remember always sitting out my grandmother, and she'd listen and she'd let me talk. She wouldn't tell me I was right or wrong. She'd let me spew out all of my stories and my woe me and how my parents were this and how I was this and how nobody's going to love me and how the reason why I did what I just did and how I could justify it. And she'd let me go on and on and on. And she wouldn't say a word that was judging me. She would keep crocheting. And then all of a sudden she would give me a thought. She would give me something to think about. And in that moment, I realized, it took me a lot of years to really get the wisdom of that. She wasn't going to lecture me. She wasn't going to school me. She wasn't going to try to stop me from making my mistakes because she knows better. She knows the defiant. She knows the rebel. She knows that know-it-all. She would know all of those versions because she was once all of that. We were all once one of that. She would give me the opportunity through being able to vent to hand over my pain. And sometimes we just need to get it out. And when it is out of us, then it is the opportunity for us to have space to be able to process. And when we could hear ourselves speak or talk, we can hear what is really happening. What is happening in that moment? This is the spirit card. This is the soul card. It's where now we're beginning to listen. It's when we go silent, when we have all of that junk out of us, when we spilled out everything that's bothering us inside. Now there's space because the chaos is not there. There is an opportunity. It's probably not going to be there long, but it's an opportunity. And by her giving me the opportunity to hand over that pain, she wasn't keeping it. She knew that it wasn't all true. She would keep crocheting. She would keep creating. She would stay in the light and stay in who she was. But I would have the opportunity to just get it out. And in that moment of contemplation, in the place of silence, was an opportunity for a new truth. It was for me to hear, see, and we do this not just in our teenage years, but how much of your life may be still being influenced by your teenage years, by your earlier, younger adult version of yourself. How much of that is still what you are still responding, reacting from. And you now moving into a trusting the guides to be able to just give this over, to journal it out. It don't have to make sense. It's to release what is been held captive, what has been locked behind the gates and not allowed out. When you free the story, you free the mind. When you free all of that, you free yourself. And so this is the Seraphant of Pain, and this is Jules. And Jules is the healer, and it's the beginning of the healing journey. The greatest thing that I can tell you that I think I've learned from the soul journey was that sense of contentment. That the moment you stop chasing, trying to create peace, and you make peace, when you free that all of those stories, when you can really, 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 truly know the power behind freeing yourself from those stories, freeing yourself from the what ifs. This is where we start to recognize that, yeah, the pain was freaking real. The pain is real. But that misery you place yourself in, that self-sabotage, that self-destruction, that continual ism pattern that keeps following you because you keep following the same pattern, giving yourself the same excuse to why you should keep doing what you're doing, to the same person that you keep chasing to love you, that has already told you they didn't really love you, but yet you're going to make them see that you are worth loving. It's you who have to make yourself worth loving. It all comes back to us. And this is the key that really truly opens the door to authenticity, contentment. And contentment is not complacent. It doesn't mean our life is done, it's over, and it doesn't mean we're not going to be successful. It means that we finally recognize, we're finally remembering who we truly are. And this is where handing over the continual of how we put salt in our own wounds by comparison, by continually living in repeat, by using solutions that don't align to us really truly moving out of a problem. It creates more problem. It gives us the opportunity to live in chaos, anything like that. And it can be the simplest of things. So if someone tells me they don't have an ism to something like an addictive pattern, I'm probably willing to call bullshit on it, because it could be that OCD you have. It could be that, it could be food. We look at things as only seeing people that have an obvious physical self-destructive image around them, and the energy, the whole life reveals it. But who we are when nobody is looking is what matters the most. How you treat yourself, how you treat others, the words you use, the thoughts you have, all of that is what matters. And all of that we do when nobody is looking is the things that truly, truly matter the most. It is not about putting on a mask, creating an image. It is not about becoming everything that you think everyone else wants or needs. It's about you finally learning the power to be nicer, kinder to yourself, to no longer keep crucifying the best parts of yourself and allowing yourself to rise into it's like a float. Ever gone to one of those saltwater floats? Best thing ever, ever. And you're in that box in the dark. And you're like, I'm scared of the dark. I'm afraid of the water. Well, you can't sink. The water's so salty, you float. If you calm down and you just let yourself be there and you look up, there's light. There's in the corners, there's little bits of light that is coming in. If you close your eyes and you breathe into you, you realize you are not alone. You have your best friend with you. You have the divinity. You have the divine with you. You have the one that you should trust the most. You have the one who has saved you from so many things in your life. You have the one that has become the hero. You have the one who went to war for you. You have the one who has stood by your side through thick and thin. The one that keeps saying, come on, girl. Come on, girl. And that is you. That's you. And so in that float in the dark and the door closed, the door is not locked. There is light. You can't drown in the water that you can't sink in. And you are not alone because you're always walking with that version of you who has gone to hell and back and fought for you and still keeps showing up each and every day for you. That's you. And when you can begin to see her, you can see how she is the queen of your world. She does have a place and she has a right to be here. And she doesn't need someone else to abuse her mentally, physically, spiritually. She doesn't need someone else to belittle her, put her down. She doesn't need anyone else to be hard on her. She don't need anyone else to punish her. She needs someone who finally says, enough is enough. And that is you. Whoa. Okay. That's not what I was expecting today, but here we go. So final card. I just got to look at the time because this body is going for a massage in a little bit. And so the final card is a mothering card, card 18. This is the card from the divine. So we're being given a message from the divine. This card is called Magdalene. Magdalene, if you looked at the archetypal story, not connected to the dogma of religion, but if it is for you, then good. But if it's not, I don't want people to be triggered by this in any way. I want you to recognize your triggers, why it is a problem for you. And so this card is the Eternal, and it's Magdalene. Mary Magdalene she is the blue rose. She is also very much she was the follower to the Divine Mother, to that of the Mother Mary. She was also the one who walked beside the Jesus archetype. So to the benevolence. Now the narrative of the story says she was never enough and that she only came from this and then she became saved by man or by something else. But she was always enough. It was the remembering of who she was. And that she brings me all the way to the card that is the second last. And this brings us to the turtle. And the turtle represents so much to me as an Indigenous woman, as a woman who's kind of always had to struggle with that being mixed, blended in diversity and love is the way my bio always says it, my website says it. But it's that knowing that the turtle on land is so slow. It moves at its own pace, but the turtle knows the way. The turtle knows if it gets in the water and gets in the flow, it can get somewhere faster. what Magdalene would know, and what the eternal knows, is that the soul has eternity to get to wherever it needs to be and to go. It is our time to nurture the human journey and to nurture all of who we are in the feminine energy, who we are in our own power. And as she rises and as she opens and being guided by her heart, by her high heart, by her deep knowing that she was never just a follower. She was never not enough. She was never the labels. She was never ever a second best. She was everything she was put here to be. And she was everything she knew she could be. She came with one of the greatest soul purposes that we can have. And she was one of the wisest spiritual leaders, guides that possibly could be. She knew she was here to learn from the wisdom of life experiences and how good people can turn bad and how bad things can happen to good people. And it really happens. And how the mind of someone who can convince themselves that another human being is someone who should be crucified because somebody else says they're a problem, then we have a problem. But why do we keep doing the things to ourselves that self-sabotage ourselves? Here is where she moves through, and through the voice of silence and by the power of the emotional intelligence it's not a rage that is destructive. It is a power that becomes the alchemy of life. Is that everything is movable, everything can move. Sometimes we need the air, sometimes we need the fire, sometimes we need the power, sometimes we need something that can move that which is normally still. And she found her why. She found her purpose. She knew she didn't have to go out and be big and bold. She knew she had to be authentic. And that authenticity is what moved her. And this is our opportunity to nurture this beautiful self that is with us today. And always remember, who you are when nobody's looking does really matter the most. It truly matters the most. That is written in the book. And so finding our way from shadow to truth. Now validating this with one last card that they just fell out into my hand as I was picking up the cards, and that is card 44, and it's the last card of the deck. And this is the everyday miracle she is. She is here to more than exist. She is here to awaken her divine expression, her divine heart. She is here to become the blossom, but not just the blossom. The blossoms die. It is for you to become the fruit of the labor. You are worth putting the love into. You are worth allowing space for unconditioned love. You are worth the journey that you take. And, sometimes it's not about being first, second, third. It's not about being a number one. It's about really, truly knowing that you came here to be alive, so that at the end of the journey, at the end of the story of life, is that you know that you have lived a life that is worth living because you remembered who you were. We send you so much love. Have a beautiful weekend. And that was nothing that I expected, nothing that was in mind, nothing I thought was going to appear, but there it was, there it comes. And so, trusting the channel, trusting the guide. I send you all so much love. Have a beautiful weekend. And I hope to see you all soon, as I will share my moving story soon with you. But right now I'm just keeping it a lot to myself as a sacred journey that I'm on. So yeah, much love, or we're on. Bye-bye.